real estate agents and business owners. You are going to hate this, but you need to know. My guest today is Trish Rogers from Real Mastery. I've asked Trish to come in today and share with us the important changes to our licensing, and there's quite a bit involved, so I'm going to go through a few things and one at a time, and Trish will enlighten us all, so you'll need to pay attention to this. Trish, if I'm a Class 1 licence holder, how do the changes affect me?
Okay, thanks Paul, and thanks for having me here today. That's a really important question. There is quite a bit of change for a Class 1 licence holder, and the big change is the CPD requirement. So from March this year, all Class 1 licence holders have to do 9 hours of CPD. 3 hours of elective CPD, 3 hours of compulsory CPD, and 3 hours of business units. So that is the number one change for a Class 1 licence holder from March this year, and something that everyone needs to be aware of. And the other important element is that with the CPD changes made, that CPD is no longer tied to the renewal date of your licence. The CPD year for everyone is the 23rd of March to the 22nd of March each year. So when you get your renewal paperwork from New South Wales Fair Trading, you must renew straight away, because it is no longer tied to renewal date. Whether you've done CPD or not, you must renew straight away to ensure that your licence remains current.
Wow, there's a lot in this, Trish, and I have asked Trish to provide us with some information that we can share, and we'll be providing that through our social media channels and other main means of communicating with our members and others, because this information is vitally important to all agents ongoing. So this is great, Trish. Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
So if I'm a Class 1 licence holder, how long before these changes come into effect?
So the changes are already in effect, Paul. From the 23rd of March last year, all the new CPD requirements came in. So I think, the big question for agents at the moment that are Class 2 agents is, if I want to upgrade to a Class 1, how do I go about that? Because that seems to be the significant question we're facing from people in the industry. And for Class 1 licence holders, their really big change is only that CPD. But for Class 2 licence holders, they need to make the decision of whether they want to upgrade to a Class 1 licence. There's no compulsory requirement to upgrade to a Class 1, but in order to be a licensee in charge of a business, you must be a Class 1 licence holder. And currently, there's an option available for anyone that's done their licence course in the last sort of 6 to 9 years. They can upgrade to a Class 1 licence by simply doing 3 units of the diploma course. And the reason for this is that the current course, diploma course, is aligned very closely to the course that they would have done when they did their licence course. So there's a real option for people in the next few months to enrol in the diploma course and just do 3 subjects and be able to then qualify with the educational requirement to apply for a Class 1.
That's very important information. So in effect, there is a window of opportunity, isn't there, Trish, where agents can take advantage of that. But what will happen if they miss that window?
That is another very good question. The new diploma course that starts in September is not aligned to the current educational requirement, the current Certificate 4 for real estate. So that means that the agent will be required to complete 18 units of study in relation to achieve their diploma course. From our experience at looking at this program, there's very little recognition of prior learning that we can give to the student. So therefore, in most cases, most agents will have to complete the full 18 units of study, as opposed to doing the current diploma course, which for 90% of the students will only have to complete 3 units of study. So it's a big difference. It's definitely worthwhile if you're wanting to move from Class 2 to Class 1 to do your education requirement part now. Because there's other requirements to becoming a Class 1 licence holder. And that is that you hold a Class 2 licence for 2 years, but that doesn't stop you from doing the training right now. You can do the training now, and then in 2 years' time, this qualification will still be valid for you to apply for your Class 1. And you also have to have your licensee in charge sign off on a logbook. This is a new requirement that started last year. And to move from any class of licence, assistant agent to Class 2 or Class 2 to Class 1, your licensee in charge has to sign off on a logbook. So things are pretty different in the last 12 months for CPD.
Now, if you've missed any of that detail, I strongly urge you to re-watch the video, because some of the dates that Trish just gave us are critically important. And we've all heard of how rare rocking horse poo is. Well, licences are going to become, Class 1 licences are going to become very hard to get. So take heed of this window of opportunity and upgrade, and Trish is the right person to sort this out for you. Trish, before you go, I have got one last question. Trish, what if people don't do their CPD? What happens?
Well, that can turn out to be a very expensive mistake. The fines for someone not completing the CPD in their category can be, from New South Wales Fair Trading, can be $5,000 for every year that they haven't completed their CPD. So that's a pretty expensive outcome. Also, it will mean if they haven't done their CPD, it means that they are not covered by insurance, and it also means they're not covered by the Professional Indemnity Fund with New South Wales Fair Trading. So huge ramifications for not doing CPD, and also the owner of the business can be required to pay back any fees or commissions earned from that person because they weren't actually licensed or qualified at the time, because they had not. If you don't do your CPD, your license or certificate is not valid.
Well, so you've got an invalid licence holder conducting business.
Correct.
Without insurance. Okay, say no more. We don't want that. Trish, before you go, one last piece of advice.
I think the main element for Class 2 is Class 2 licence holders to really consider whether they want to upgrade to their Class 1 licence. You've got a very small window in the next couple of months to do it in a pretty easy format. And once that deadline passes, it would be an arduous road to get a Class 1 licence. And I agree with you, Paul. They're going to be rare as hen's teeth.
It's more polite than rocking horse.
Rare as hen's teeth, I would say, in about 5 years' time, because it will be very difficult for agents to find the time to complete 18 units of study. So my top tip, do your diploma and do your CPD.
Okay, all take a deep breath out there. I know this is not the most fun subject, but Trish has acquainted you with a real opportunity here today. And if you need to study, I don't know if you can remember what it was like being at school. I can. It's not the most favourite thing to do, but let's get it done is my best advice to you. Look, the winter months, it's quieter typically in real estate. Get your study done, get ahead of the requirements, and secure your future. Trish, you've been fabulous today, really, really great. Thank you so much for coming in and talking with us, and I hope you all got a lot of benefit as I did. Thank you.
Thank you, it was my absolute pleasure.